All right, Coach House. Once again, let us continue now with let's now go to the differences between African apes and humans. Okay, so we're going to look at the differences between African apes and humans. We've already looked at the similarities. Remember, whenever we talked about the similarities between African apes and humans, we were trying to establish the idea that humans and African apes, they are sharing a common ancestor. Okay, so those homologous structures, they kind of give us an idea that, hi man, structurally humans and African apes, they kind of look alike, but not all they do the same thing exactly. They also have got differences between them. We cannot just say Uti because two things look alike, then it means that they must be coming from a common ancestor. Not really, but we can say that there is a possibility that they are coming from a common ancestor. So for us to not be biased, we need to also look at the differences between the African apes and the humans. All right. So first of all, before we get there, let us talk about the concept of bipedalism. The concept of bipedalism, it is important for you guys to understand first prior to understanding the differences between African apes and humans. Okay. So when we look at bipedalism, bipedalism is walking on two legs. Whenever you want to simply define bipedalism, it is basically when an organism is walking on two legs. For example, us as humans, we have bipedalism. Us as humans, we walk on two legs, right? But we also have got another type of walking, which is known as quadrupedalism. Quadrupedalism, it is walking on four legs. This is applying mostly on most African apes. Okay, so bipedalism is walking on two legs or using two legs to be able to walk, and quadrupedalism, it is walking on four legs. Yes, Sam?
So, sir, they can ask this in biological terms.
Yes. Most probably in biological terms, they can just say, give the biological term describe matching this description. Maybe they can just say walking on two legs, or maybe they can say define bipedalism or something like that. Usually in your short case study type of scenarios, but bipedalism, you have to just say it's walking on two legs. All right. So bipedalism, walking on two legs. So us as humans, we're an example of species or an examples of organisms that have got what? That have got this bipedalism thing, that have got the ability to walk on two legs. So now what are the significant advantages, or what actually makes this bipedalism thing an advantage? Because we as humans, we claim to have a greater advantage over those other animals that are walking on four legs, such as the African apes. All right. So basically, bipedalism has got significant advantages, such as the easier movement and a energy efficient movement as well. So whenever you are moving with only two legs, movement is very easy. So whenever you want to navigate from one place to another, it's as simple as just lifting the two legs, and you don't have to lift them all at once. Whenever you are walking, you lift only one leg at a time. So basically, in that regard, we say that movement is easier. It is easy to move having two legs. And then the movement is more energy efficient. You do not really have to spend too much energy in locomotion. You don't really have to pull up a lot of many things to be able to move using two legs. Okay, you can just lift the leg and you push it forward. You lift the other one, you push it forward. That's walking, right? But when you look at the organisms that do not have bipedalism, when you look at the organisms that have got a quadrupedalism, talk about your African apes, for example. The African apes, as an example, they walk on four legs. So the fact that they walk on four legs, it makes it very difficult for them to navigate from one place to another. It makes it very difficult for them to move because they have to push a whole four legs for them to even attain movement. So basically, that movement is going to spend a lot of energy and it's not going to be easier at all. Hence said here, bipedalism has got an advantage because the movement on two legs is easier and it is more energy efficient. We also have got another advantage of walking on two legs rather than walking on four legs. The hands are free to pick or to carry food or to use tools, etc. So remember, whenever we look at African apes and humans, both of us, we have got upper limbs and we also have got some lower limbs. When we talk about the upper limbs, we are talking about our hands. And when we talk about the lower limbs, we are talking about our legs, right? So both of us, we have got upper limbs and lower limbs. That's also one of the similarity between African apes and humans. You can add that as part of the similarities. In fact, write it down. One of the similarities between African apes and humans is that all of us, we have got upper limbs and lower limbs. So it means that we have got hands and legs. When you look at a chimpanzee, for example, let's just say this is a chimpanzee, which is an African ape. It is having what? It is having some hands here and it is having some legs as well. So just assume that this is a chimpanzee as well. So basically, if you are walking on only two legs, it means that the hands will be free to be able to do other activities, such as carrying food, such as picking food, such as being able to touch things and all of that while you are still moving with your legs. But when you look at quadrupedalism, when you look at the organisms that walk on four legs, they are also using their hands to walk, by the way. Because when you look at a monkey, for example, or you look at an African ape, this African ape here, it is like bending right now and it is like walking with those four legs. So it does not have any hands to be able to pick or carry things. It cannot be able to swing or any of that. But us as humans, we have got an advantage because our legs are the ones that are doing the walking, whereas our hands are free to be able to pick or carry food or use tools, etc. Now, also, standing upright also gives a better and a wider view of the surroundings, making it very easier to avoid predators. Basically, whenever an organism has got bipedalism, it is also able to stand upright because for you to be able to walk on two legs, you need to be able to stand upright or stand erect. All right. So if you are in a forest, for example, and you stand upright and maybe you're a tall guy like me, you are able to see a broader area or you're able to see bigger surroundings, a better and a wider view of the surroundings compared to someone, let's just say compared to an organism or maybe compared to an African ape that is not able to walk on two legs. So the advantage of standing upright and walking on those two legs is that you'll be able to have a better view. You'll be able to see a wider view, a bigger view, a broader view of the surroundings. You'll be able to see what surroundings are there. This makes it very easier to avoid predators and to also have direction. That is why humans have got more direction because we're able to see more things in front. We're able to see things at the back as well and all of that. And that helps us to avoid predators. But if we were to have quadrupedalism, if we were to walk on four legs in total, then we would not be able to stand upright to be able to see a wider view, to be able to see a bigger area, to be able to see the surroundings as a whole, which would make us easily attacked by predators. Let's just say there are predators that are coming, or maybe there's animals that want to kill us or something like that. All of those are easier to spot and see if it happens that you are standing upright and you're walking on your two legs. But if you're not walking on your two legs, then that is going to give you a problem because you won't be able to see any of the surroundings. Are we still together, great self?
Yes.
All right. And also, this one, I'm repeating it for the second time. I did mention it when we were talking about the similarities between your African apes and your humans. We say that it's a courtship behavior. Basically, in courtship behavior, this type of a species-specific courtship behavior, the male sex organ is readily displayed. As I have already explained it in the similarities section, that for apes and African apes, it is an advantage to be able to stand upright. Yes, you see, African apes, they walk on four legs. Yes, I agree, but they can be able to stand upright, like momentarily. They can be able to stand upright. They can be able to stand on their two legs. But whenever they need to walk on four legs. So if you are watching movies and you see your monkey is walking on two legs, that's a bit a kind of off a bit. That's your lies as well. That's your fiction. Let me just say that's your fiction. But basically, for these apes, it becomes an advantage because the sex organ for the male is readily displayed, it's readily available to be able to attract females and be able to do the deeds. So basically, this is an advantage that does not apply to humans, but it does apply as an advantage of having bipedalism, the advantage of walking on two legs rather than walking on four legs. Okay, so these are the advantages that bipedalism has. Please, let's just go back right off. I want to make sure that, and I confirm this because it's very important. Do you guys understand how bipedalism works? Did you guys understand the advantages of having a bipedal type of walking style? Do you guys understand why it's important to have a walk on two legs rather than walking on four legs? Do you guys understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Awesome. So the fact that you guys understand now we'll be looking at the anatomical differences between African apes and human. All right. So now these anatomical differences, why did I even start by telling you about bipedalism? Is because some of the differences between humans and African apes, they are due to this bipedalism. Okay, what do I mean? So basically, when we look at this bipedalism, due to bipedalism, because humans and African apes, they are different walking styles. As humans, we walk on two legs, but when you look at African apes, they walk on four legs, although they can stand upright momentarily or for a short time, let's just say. But at the end of the day, the African apes, they walk on four legs, whereas as humans, we walk on two legs. We say that the African apes have got quadrupedalism. So due to this bipedalism, certain structures among humans and African apes, they differ from one another. Okay, what structures make us different due to bipedalism? Why did I even mention that this is due to bipedalism? It is because for us to be able to walk on two legs, there is a certain way our body must be shaped like so that you can be able to walk on two legs. You cannot just tell me that it's natural what humans are walking on two legs. You need to be more deeper and go into how does the structure of the body look like so that you can be able to end up walking with two legs. So that is what we are now focusing on. What are those differences in the structures of our body that will make us to be able to be able to walk on two legs, whereas the African apes are walking on four legs? Let us start here. We start with the foramen magnum. The foramen magnum here, you learned of it in grade 10, but I will remind you one more time. The foramen magnum, it is just a hole, or it's just a hole whereby the spine is inserted. All right, the spine. Remember that bone at the back, the bone at the back at your back, that bone at your back, the spine, it is inserted as part of the skeletal structure, right? So basically, the position of the foramen magnum is different in an African ape and in a human. Remember, let me remind you, great hosts, that remember, whenever I talk about African apes, the anatomical difference between apes, these apes is not just apes. Whenever you hear apes, I am actually talking about the African apes because everything here is based on the African apes. The African apes, including the chimpanzees. I will write again because I want you guys to not be confused whenever you see the term apes. We are talking about the baboons. We are talking about the baboons. We are talking about the orangutans. These are all African apes. We are also talking about the bonobos as well. The bonobos are examples of African apes. So whenever I'm going to mention differences here between humans and African apes, I'm talking about the differences between humans and chimpanzees, or maybe the differences between humans and baboons, or maybe the differences between humans and orangutans, the differences between humans and bonobos. So, in other words, the question can come in different ways, and justice asks you, Uti, what are the anatomical differences between humans and chimpanzees? Don't get confused, Great Hoflaner, because the chimpanzees, the baboons, the orangutans, and the bonobos, all of them, they fall under African apes. So they are practically questioning the same thing over and over again, but they are using what? They are using different specific names. They can just say, what are the differences between humans and orangutans? You shouldn't get confused because you know that orangutans are just African apes, which is exactly what we're studying right now. And when we're studying right now, what am I saying? I'm saying that the position of the foramen magnum in a human skull and the chimpanzee skull is different. If we look at the human, the foramen magnum, or this hole here, whereby you insert your spine, whereby you're going to have your spinal cord inside the spine here. So in humans, it is in a more forward position compared to the one in chimpanzees. Okay, when you look carefully here, this hole here is the same because when you look at here, this is a chimpanzee skull. Let me just say, skull A is a chimpanzee skull, whereas skull B is a human skull. So both of these, they are skulls, and they've got a foramen magnum, which is that hole that allows you to put the spinal the spine. When you look at a human here, the foramen magnum, where is it? It is in a more forward position. So it is somewhere around here, somewhere here. So there is a hole here. This is the foramen magnum. Remember what here at this point we are viewing our skeleton like from the we are looking at it like from a view that is like from the down view. Yeah, let me just say from the down view. Okay. So this hole here, it is exactly here. The hole is here where you put your spine. So the hole is here where the spine is inserted. So in humans, the spine is actually inserted in a more forward position. So we say that it is inserted in a more forward position. This will be able to give the human an upright posture. This will be able to give a human bipedalism. That is why we say that this is a difference due to bipedalism. Or maybe let's just say this is the difference that will result in bipedalism. Because once a human has got their foramen magnum at this position, we know that the spinal cord will be able to be inserted. The spine will be inserted here. Okay, the spine is inserted here in the foramen magnum, and is going to make the human to be able to stand upright. Okay, and eventually we can say from that these two are different from one another. And when we look at the one in African apes, the foramen magnum in African apes is in a more backward position, or it is more at the back compared to the one in humans. The one in humans, it is way more close, like at the front, because like you can see that here, you have to move like a very big distance to get to the foramen magnum. But when you look at the ones of the African apes, the foramen magnum of the African apes is like exactly here at the back, at the more backward position of the skull. So this is actually causes this is what actually causes the chimpanzee to end up having this posture that is not upright, or this is what causes the chimpanzee to end up bending like this, is because the foramen magnum, it is way here at the backward position here. The foramen magnum, it is here at the backward position. So the fact that the foramen magnum is in a backward position, when the spine is inserted here, that spine is going to automatically bend, and the chimpanzee will always have a bended structure, I can just say. Yes, Sam?
So, sir, is it okay if I say the foramen magnum in humans is closer to the nasal cavity? Therefore, on chimpanzees, it's far away from the nasal cavity.
That's still correct, yes, because yes, indeed, it's close to the nasal cavity, which is the one, the region around your nose. But let's just say it is in a more backward position in a chimpanzee. It is in a more forward position in a human, so that we don't really have to refer to the nasal cavity or refer to other regions. to be able to describe its position. But you can also mention that that's fairly okay. But the terms that are usually used to describe the foramen, the terms that are usually used to describe the foramen magnum's position, you say it is in a more forward position. The other one, you're gonna say that it is in a more backward position. Okay, but it is still serving the same idea, because the one in humans, you can see that it is closer to the nasal cavity, somewhere around here. But when you look at the one in apes, it is far away from the nasal cavity. So it's fair. So basically, that foramen magnum, as I've already explained, it is the hole in the base of the skull, where the spinal cord leaves or enters the skull. That is that hole. Okay, so in humans, the foramen magnum is in a more forward position. So this actually allows the human to be able to stand upright. So it allows a human to be able to stand upright, because whenever their spine is inserted into this hole, their spine is inserted in an upright manner. Yes. But whenever you insert the skull here on the chimpanzee, the skull will be inserted in a bending manner, because the hole is here at the backward position. That making sense, Greatov?
Yes.
Yes, but when you look at the quadrupeds, or when you look at those African apes that have got quadrupedalism, they've got a foramen magnum in a more backward position. So it means that their foramen magnum, it is found here way back at the base, at the back, compared to the one in humans. The one in humans is way found far in front, or in a more forward position. So that is the first difference due to bipedalism. So yes, we can say that humans and chimpanzees are similar, but at the end of the day, there are differences, such as this one, the fact that the foramen magnum is in different positions. Those are anatomical differences, the differences in the structures of those two bodies. All right. So now let's look at another difference due to bipedalism still again, the shape of the spine. All right. So not only does the foramen magnum contribute to bipedalism, we also have other structures that also contributes to bipedalism, other structures that actually results in humans being able to walk on two legs, whereby the apes are walking on four legs. Those structures include this one, which is the shape of the spine. So the shape of the spine as well is different across humans and African apes. It's an anatomical difference as well, because humans, they need to walk on two legs. How should their spine look like in terms of the shape? Let's just look at the shape carefully here. If we look at the shape here, the spine, when you look at the spine, remember the spine, it is this bone here at the back that has got this one, this bone here. So the spine of a human being, I'm sure you guys can see its shape. It looks like an S. So the shape of the spine in humans, it is S-shaped. So it is S-shaped. Looks like an S shape. So this S shape, it is advantageous because it actually helps an individual to be able to support their body weight and stand upright or stand vertically. Otherwise, if you look at an African ape, for example, when you look at an African ape and you evaluate the shape of their spine. When you look at this ape here particularly, the spine has got a different shape, and this shape kind of looks like a C. So it's like your C, like the shape is C. So this C shape cannot be able to stand upright no matter what. Okay, let me just say here, if you were to have an organism and this organism has got a C-shaped spine, would it be able to stand? No, it wouldn't be able to stand. Okay. This organism with a spine that looks like a C-shaped spine, that is not going to work for bipedalism, but it's going to work for quadrupedalism. So basically, the African apes, they have got spines that are C-shaped. The African apes' spines are C-shaped. This is actually what causes their body weight to kind of pull them down here, and they end up walking on all four legs. Whereas humans, is whereas in humans we don't really need that, because the shape of our spine, it allows us to be able to balance our body weight equally in such a way that we're able to stand without any support. Is that understandable, grade 12?
Yes.
Yes, so exactly as I was explaining to you guys, the C-shaped spine. Look at an African ape when it tries forces isn't. Why would you force things and like stand up whenever you know your shape, your spine does not agree? You can see that this C-shaped spine is not able to accommodate the weight of this monkey. That is why the monkey is kind of that's why the African ape here is kind of not comfortable. I don't know a monkey emotions and African apes emotions, but I can definitely say that it's not comfortable standing, because you can see that its back party is kind of hanging. This back party is kind of hanging here at the back, and it's not able to balance properly due to this shape of the spine here. So this shape of the spine, it is suited for quadrupedalism. The C-shaped spine that is found in African apes, it is adapted or more suited for quadrupedalism, which is the ability of this organism to be able to walk on four legs. So this is one of the other differences that you can take a consideration of, because those differences, they arise due to bipedalism and quadrupedalism. Okay, so the shape of the spine. This in humans, the spine is curved, so it is more curved, aka we say that it has got an S shape, causing the upper body to be directly above the pelvis, resulting in a vertical posture, so in an upright posture. So as I already explained in layman's terms, that because of this shape of the spine, which is a C shape, the weight of the body, okay, the weight of the body, how heavy the body is, all of it will rest on this what? On the pelvis. The pelvis is here. This is the pelvic girdle, where you find your pelvis inside. So basically, all the weight here will just rest on this bone here, because the pelvic girdle is very strong. Right? That is the bone that makes up your private region, right? So that bone, it is very, 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 very strong, and is able to hold the weight of the upper body, is able to hold the weight of the upper body, because this upper part of the body, it is heavy, and it balances on top of the what? Of the pelvic girdle, due to the shape of the spine. But if the spine was not been shaped in that way, or had the spine not been shaped in that way, had the spine of a human being looked like an ape, it would not be able to balance, because an ape, you can see that, is trying to balance, but it can't. All right. So in humans, the spine is more curved, allowing the body weight to rest directly above the pelvis, so that the pelvis can support it. All right. But in quadrupeds or in African apes, the spine is less curved, or the spine is C-shaped. So basically, when it tries to stand, its weight will eventually pull it down, making it very hard to maintain the posture. As already stated, that in African apes, even when they try to stand upright, they cannot stand upright, for the mere fact that their weight will pull them down, right? But in humans, all the weight of the body, all the weight of the upper body, it will rest here at the pelvic girdle. So it will rest here at the pelvic girdle. All right. Which brings me to the pelvic girdle itself. How different is the pelvic girdle in humans and the pelvic girdle in African apes? Because that is one of the factors that contributes also to bipedalism as well, amongst these two different organisms. So the shape of the pelvic girdle as well describes whether an organism, or whether just say an organism, it will be able to stand upright and walk on two legs, or rather go to the four legs pathway. This is also what makes us different from our African apes. All right. So basically, when you look at the human's pelvic girdle, all right, when you look at the human's pelvic girdle, The pelvic girdle for humans, it is this one. This is the pelvic girdle for humans, and the one for African apes, it is this long one here next to it, the one on his left. So this one is the one of African apes. So when you look at the pelvic girdle of humans, it is short and it is wide. All right. It is short, that's one, and it is wide. And this actually helps it to be able to support vertical weight. As I've already explained to you guys that if the shape of the spine is an S-shaped, the one of humans, the one that is more curved, this is an S-shaped spine, the one that is more curved, all the weight of the body, it will rest on what? It will rest on the pelvic girdle. It will rest here on the pelvic girdle, here on the pelvic girdle. All right, that's where it will rest. So now, for a human, the pelvic girdle is able to support all the vertical weight above it. Because, guys, you can see that there's a lot of weight above this pelvis. And this is the pelvic girdle. If you look at on top here, we have a chest, we've got some blood, we've got we even have a head and a brain. All of it is above the pelvic girdle, and it needs to rest on top of the pelvic girdle in such a way that a human will have a vertical posture. All right. So basically, for that to happen, the pelvic girdle, it must be short and wide so that they can be able to support that vertical weight that is being put on it by this spine shape. All right. But when you look at African apes, the African apes, they've got long and they've got narrow pelvic girdle. So their pelvic girdles, they are narrower and they are longer. When you look carefully here, this one is not wider. The African apes' pelvic girdle is no longer wider and shorter compared to that one of humans, because the African apes now, they have got a pelvic girdle that looks long. Okay, they have got a pelvic girdle that does not look that much wide, so it is narrow. So it is narrow and it is long. So it's a long and narrow. So long and narrow pelvic girdle. This one is observed in African apes, whereas in humans we have got some short and wide, type of pelvic girdle to be able to support the upper weight. So the African apes, since they've got this long and narrow pelvic girdle, this actually results in knuckle walking. As I've already said to you guys, that these African apes, they cannot really maintain an upright posture for long. Okay, they can't maintain that upright posture for the mere fact that they are not made with structures that are able to support in the vertical standing. They need to always be like moving with four legs or walking with four legs. So basically, these African apes, they've got long and narrow pelvic girdle, and this actually resulting in knuckle walking, because basically they cannot be able to, the pelvic girdle is not able to handle vertical weight, is not able to stand upright. Hence, we see African apes not being able to stand upright for a long time. Okay, so guys, you get on this?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So these are the first differences that we have, guys. These are the first set of differences between humans and African apes, all right? Please note them down. Usually the questions here, they'll be like, give or state the differences between humans and African apes, anatomical differences. Or they can say that state the differences between humans and African apes due to bipedalism. Okay, they can say due to bipedalism. Means that you need to look at these three things. Okay, so just in summary for this one, I will just say these are the three differences due to bipedalism. So we have got these three differences due to bipedalism, and those differences are what? Remember, we first talked about first thing that we talked about. What did we talk about? The differences due to bipedalism.
Foramen magnum, sir.
Yes, the position of the foramen magnum. When you look at the position, so the position of foramen magnum. So the foramen magnum is different. So whenever you want to explain this, you need to explain that humans have got what? Humans have got a foramen magnum in a more forward position compared to African apes. So this allows the spine to be able to enter vertically in humans. Hence, we say that the foramen magnum is a very important thing when we mention it, to say if you are going to put if you're going to put your spine here, the spine will enter vertically into the human skull because of this foramen magnum being present around here at a more forward position. All right. So basically, that's the first difference due to bipedalism. That's the first difference that will cause them to have different walking styles, as humans walking with 2 legs, whereas African apes are walking with 4 legs in that regard. Okay. Then the second one, the shape of the spine. We're just summarizing here. That's why I'm writing them down for you. The other difference that we have, which is the shape of the spine. So the shape of the spine. Remember here, whenever you want to explain this difference between African apes and humans, you need to try your best to explain what shape do humans have as the spine, what shape of a spine do African apes have. When you look at the ones of humans, you know that it is more curved, it is more S-shape. It has got kind of like an S-shaped character, right? But that actually causes it to support vertical weight and it supports an upright posture. All right. But when you look at the spine of African apes, you find out, no, it doesn't support upright posture. So that's the difference again between them. But this difference is due to bipedalism. This is the difference due to their walking styles. Or this is the difference between them that will make their walking styles to be different. Then the third and the last difference due to bipedalism, it is the shape of the pelvic girdle, which is what we just discussed right now. I've already told you guys that the pelvic girdle, okay, the pelvic girdle in humans and in African apes is different because the ones in humans, it is short and wide, is able to support a vertical weight from the upper body. But when you look at the pelvic girdle when you look at the pelvic girdle for these African apes, it is long and narrow, and it actually results in knuckle walking. Okay, so these are the differences. Please try your best whenever you are given 3 marks, or they can say 6 marks, you need to explain more, as I've already explained to you guys.